there is a new system being used in MLB this year, and that is the automatic balls and strikes system. ABS, robot umpires, what have you. It is in Major League Baseball this season. Now, how's it going to work? It is using a challenging system. That's right. Similar to replay review, where if a team disagrees with the call made on the field, similarly, a pitcher, catcher, or batter can challenge a pitch by tapping on their head and basically saying, yeah, I didn't agree with the pitch, whether that be called ball or called strike by the umpire. And since it is a system that is being run throughout the entire game, it will instantaneously show up on the scoreboard when the challenge is permitted by the umpire, and it will show whether the ball was indeed a ball or a strike. Now, if the challenger got the call right, they retain their challenge. If the challenger got the call wrong, they lose their challenge. That's why there's 2 permitted per game. But if you get it right, it rolls over. So hypothetically, you could go 10 for 10 and keep both of your challenges late. That's just probably not going to happen because, again, umpires are pretty darn good at their job. And even though pitchers and catchers and hitters disagree with it sometimes the umpire is right. Now, you have to keep this in mind, too, that the strike zone, that ABS strike zone, versus the umpire strike zone are 2 different strike zones. Even though they match up pretty similarly in a lot of ways, the MLB sanctioned umpire used strike zone is a 3-dimensional strike zone, judging by when the ball crosses over the plate first at the front, whereas the 2-dimensional ABS strike zone is centered at the middle of the plate. So it is different, and the reason why they didn't do a 3-dimensional strike zone is when they tried it digitally, it favored breaking balls and pitches that crossed over the plate at, you could say, a high rate of spin very favorably. And the whole point of the system really is to help out the batter. And it showed during their trials and tribulations, the data showed that it slightly increases walk percentages and slightly decreases strikeout percentages. So therefore, it favors the batter. Now, what's nice about the system is, unlike the replay system, this is quick. So a batter or pitcher or catcher has to pretty much, once the call is made, ball or strike, instantly tap the head to challenge it. There's really no more than 2 seconds, and it is at the discretion of the umpire to permit or not permit a challenge request. Sometimes an umpire can say, no, I'm not going to let you do that. Obviously, it has to be reasonable, but that's how it works. The umpire is given the discretion to deny a request. And part of the reason why it has to be quick is so that way there's no outside help. And there is cheating, you could say, implementation strategies against cheating implemented by MLB, meaning that the data that is being outcast to the world, you could say, using the MLB app or different stuff, the pitch data is delayed. So that way there's no, you could say, cheating with it, even though I'm sure someone will find a way at some point to game the system. But at the very least, at the beginning, there are systems in place to counter that. Now, is this a good thing for baseball? I do think it is a good thing for baseball because I believe it's better to have the system when we have the technology to do it. This is not something MLB is just rolling out willy-nilly. They've tried and tested it for 7 years. I mean, this is something that's been in the works for quite a while, so it's very refined and polished. And I think, kind of like the pitch timer, this is something that's going to be a positive addition to baseball. And what's nice, too, by mentioning it's instantaneous, they averaged about 4 challenges per game across all games in minor league baseball last year, and it only added about an extra minute of game time. So it's very quick and a lot quicker than instant replays. So it's a positive, but also it's just better so that way you can get the call right. Now, even though it is a different strike zone, it's very similar. And again, they tried and tested it and they made it as best as possible. So it's a good thing because it always sucked when an inning or a game was cost at the hands of a bad call. Now, there are certain instances that I am a little worried about. You could definitely give it a slippery slope argument that, well, since this is implemented, who knows what's next? Maybe they're going to get rid of umpires altogether and go full ABS, which I don't think is going to happen because, again, it's a very tough job and people like umpires. I mean, there is a human element to it, and that's part of the reason otherwise why I am concerned is because of the human element is the catcher behind the plate and framing the baseball to try to, you could say, steal strikes. If the system becomes more, you could say, a part of the game rather than just 2 challenges per team per game, then the real desire or need of framing a baseball is going to go away. And to be honest, framing a baseball by a catcher is really an art form. It's a cool thing that, again, is part of their trade. But if that kind of phases out, it's kind of a sad thing, like a lot of things that technology in certain instances and certain cases of the present replaced the need for a cool thing of the past, like framing pitches. But luckily now, again, because it's just 2 per game, you still have 90+% of all pitches you need to frame for an umpire, especially because the umpire's strike zone is a lot more rounded, so you can get away with it with framing rather than the rigid ABS strike zone that is being implemented now into baseball. So those are 2 things that are not so sure about. Now, luckily, the umpires are unionized, and they're pretty strong union, I believe. So to be fully replaced, I don't think is in the cards at all. And luckily, I think if they keep it at where it is now, it's going to be a good thing. I'm just a little, again, it's futuristic. It's different, especially with the game as old as baseball. So it's something we'll get used to. But I think kind of like instant replay, it's going to be a positive addition. So that way you have that definitive answer, whether it is a ball or a strike, in a crucial instance that can drastically change the pace, the outcome, the result of the game. And it will be pretty much in every game, every time, including the postseason. The only times it will not be included in an MLB game will be when they are playing games that are not in an MLB park. Now, there's a couple instances. One is when they go down to Mexico City for a series. Another one is the Little League Classic. Another one is also, I believe, the Field of Dreams game. So those are just a few games where ABS won't be implemented, but it'll be everywhere else. And it will be widely used because it has already been widely used in spring training. That's just going to continue because it's a good system that helps, you could say, the umpires be better and also make the right call on the field right then and there. So that way you don't have to go home frustrated about a bad call that you know was a bad call, and then it's going to ruin your night because it cost the team the game. Who knows? I mean, the players got to feel even worse about it because that's a part of the game that hopefully now can be overruled by way of the ABS system. And what's kind of neat is it's running on T-Mobile because T-Mobile is partnering with MLB. So it's using their 5G technologies, what have you. So that's why the relay is going to be quick for it all. But it's interesting. Curious what you think about it in the comments. Let me know if you like it or you don't like it. And we'll see how it goes with this season. But I think kind of like with the pitch clock and certain newer things in the game, I think it's going to be well received and a positive for the game of baseball. Like and follow for more.